units. So that in itself was an innovation in that we were using existing infrastructure and repurposing it for a new need or a new use, which was residential. So that was always us saying, if you are ready as an entrepreneur to take the chance on the inner city, we are here to back you. We are here to ensure that we are able together to walk this road, to turn around. If you walk around our office, you will see on the walls it's written, we see potential where others see decline. We see possibilities where others think this is a no-go zone. So innovation has always been part of our DNA from that point of view. So that's why, new things that are coming up. I mean, that's why we tried Driveline when Jonathan came and wanted financing for containers of multi-story containers. It was, I remember at Credit Committee, we were all like, what is this now? How is this going to work?
Shacks now.
Yeah, are we funding vertical shacks? But we were open-minded enough and entrepreneurial enough as a funder to say, actually, let's walk this road with this client and see where this takes us. And as I say, the lessons from that one project meant that we're now a little bit reluctant to do the next one. But conversions in the inner city, we did one and then it worked, and then we did the next and we did the next. Same with now having moved to the townships. Clients came to us and say, you are funding in inner cities. We are doing the same thing in townships. Can you extend that sort of financing for us to develop similar developments in townships? And because of our entrepreneurial nature and our passion for innovating and trying new things, we thought, why not? We are now in townships and we are funding, and we are actually seeing that the enterprising spirit of people living in townships remains untapped in South Africa. And there's much more that we all can do in supporting the growth of townships.
So what is the criteria that Tuhf actually looks for when they fund the entrepreneurs?
We look for someone who has passion for quality housing. So you have to want, your thing is called, it's more than just money. We want somebody who knows that it's more than just money. It's about the impact of affordable housing, of quality housing, of accessibility for your tenants, so that when your tenants are happy and live in your development for longer and you have less churn, you have better chances of making money. So that money comes after doing the right things, maintaining your property, making sure that it's secure, making sure that, tenants, we always get our tenants or tenants of our clients in the building saying, I feel safe in the building more than outside when I walk into the street to go to Checkers. And now we're starting to say in inner cities, how do we start getting involved in not only fixing the building, but ensuring that our clients contribute to urban management around their buildings so that their tenants can walk to Checkers and buy bread without being scared. As you know, inner cities are known for crime and grime. So we look for someone who has the passion for developing these areas into sustainable neighborhoods. We obviously look for a project that makes financial sense. We fund against the ability of the underlying cash flows of the project to carry all its obligations. Firstly, it must carry the obligation of paying for rates, taxes to the city, utility consumptions, making sure that you can pay your insurance, security, maintenance, etc., before you can service our loan. And then we say, after you've serviced those things, how much is left in the underlying cash flows of that property to service our loan? Only then we will look at it. So the property must be able to wash its own face. It must be able to not have to rely on the entrepreneur's other sources of income to run it. And obviously we look for character. We look for entrepreneurs who are passionate about what they are doing, but are committed to doing the right thing. So there's a difference. I've always said to my colleagues, there's a difference with someone who has ability to pay vis-a-vis someone who has a willingness to pay. So you might find that the property is able to pay all its obligations, including the loan from us. But if the entrepreneur that you are backing, the character that you are backing, doesn't have willingness to pay, he will default because he has other priorities. He wants to go and buy a Mercedes Benz or whatever he wants to do before he services the obligations of the property business. So you need to look for a character that is, stable. So we look for things like, what has been your track record in being consistent in things that you do? How long you've stayed in the same job? We even sometimes look at how many times you've divorced because that tells you about character, your ability to hold relationships, your relationship to money. So we look at your bank statement, how many returned debit orders, because that's telling, so sometimes you might find that your credit score is acceptable. So you don't have any, you're not blacklisted or anything like that. But when you look at the person's bank statement, they are taking from Paul to pay Peter, from Lusanda to pay Pikile, that's more telling than a credit score. So we look at that, at just your ability to hold relationships and your ability to service your commitments are consistent. But we also understand that human beings are human. Sometimes things happen and that causes, plans not to go the way that someone would have hoped. So we ask the questions, what led to this issue in your credit record? We see that you have 9 months of not servicing X. And the first response you give that is honest, that says, I actually let the ball down because I did 1, 2, 3, and 4, and this is what I'm doing to resolve it, is usually more convincing and more, what can I say? It's something for us that's stronger than someone who comes and says, I'm not sure, I'll go and check. It must be a mistake. You already know that there's a character issue, because there's no way you wouldn't know that you have a judgment on your account. And you have people come and say, I didn't know I have that judgment. But it's there on your credit record from 3 years ago. How come you don't know? But someone who comes up front and say, I have 2 judgments. I was a student. I made bad decisions. I took a jet account and I didn't have enough pocket money for my parents to pay it. I ended up being handed over. And they say it without you asking. You are more likely to want to work with that person to try and resolve that, because they're upfront about the issues and their willingness to resolve them. So it tells you how they will treat